and as well as knowing that perhaps there are other interventions that provide them support in terms of drugs or whatever other, right? Perhaps through this process of looking at these dimensions of resilience, what makes perhaps this population living with HIV/AIDS, right, resilient against some of these changing conditions. And that might be a research agenda where we better understand the community, we better understand this population, and we look at different approaches. And as an outcome, we might be able to identify one or two specific interventions, right, that could be able to enhance and strengthen their ability to cope and manage with these stresses, these future challenges. What do you think about that?
Just clarify again, the issue of the exposure to hazards and shocks, flood and drought, and the sensitivity to that, the sensitivity to those floods and droughts will be enhanced by living chronically with HIV/AIDS. So their interface itself produces something different from in another community. In South Africa, it's an interesting interface to study. So that's exactly fits into what exactly you said, not to transfer that in every region. It will be very much in South Africa or that part of the world. But the focus still remains on the hazard, the shock, which is the flood or the drought. And of course, there's poverty underneath another for Zimbabwe, for example.
I mean, let's continue with this a little bit, because in a way what we're trying to get at is, who do you want to help, in a way, right? Who do we want to use our resources to unpack, to better understand what might make this group, okay, more vulnerable, more capable of managing, surviving, thriving, right? So yes, we are looking at measuring against perhaps a flood or a drought, but that's a challenge. Again, the focus needs to go back to that group, okay, whether they are people living with HIV/AIDS, whether they are sex workers, whether they are whatever group that you feel that within your lab, within where you are situated, within what you have in terms of your capacity, right? These are things we want to get at, right? Who is it, and what's the rationale, what's the justification where using the resources for the RAN, we can better understand and maybe make recommendations to enhance and improve, right, their well-being. So yes, challenges in terms of the hazards are part of the equation, but the final focus has to be that group that we want to support.
And just to add on to that, I mean, I think what we're reacting to a little bit is there might have been a misunderstanding about the purpose of today, because the sequence of exercises was designed by your team to focus your decision making and your choices, because we have something called a work plan, and a work plan says exactly what you will be doing with your resources and the outcome that you want to achieve. And think back to yesterday, we have very specific objectives. And so this structure of identifying the unit of interest, the resilient to what, with whom, if it helps to simplify, who do you want to help? And I would encourage you to kind of think about three things overnight until tomorrow, because tomorrow will be a very important day, because we have diverged a little bit from the purpose of this forum. And so one thing to think about is how can you really focus at this point? Because it's an investment of resources, and especially your time and energy to come here.